Christie Arkovich from Tampa, Florida. We practice in the area of consumer bankruptcy as well as private and federal student loans. I wanted to touch briefly on the Fresh Start program. Now, this is a program that has recently been instituted by the Department of Education, and its purpose is to allow folks to get out of default. And I wanted to mention most specifically, if you had a loan, a student loan that was in default prior to COVID, you're definitely going to want to take advantage of this program, because if you did not, what will happen is that when the program expires, which I think is the end of this year, I need to look at that. Basically, someone is not going to get credit during COVID for all the times that their loan has been in default. And when I say credit, I mean income-driven forgiveness credit for those months. And we're talking 3 years or so. And so that's something you don't want to miss out on. So anyone who enrolls in Fresh Start now is eligible for the IDR account adjustment. We've had prior videos on that. That's underway right now. It's extremely important that if you happen to have a federal education loan, these are generally older federal loans, that you consider consolidating them to a direct loan so that you obtain the advantages of that program. Most specifically, your loans would be redated to the earliest repayment date. That's extremely important for those with bifurcated education. Maybe they went to undergrad and master's and there's a little bit of time between them. Anyone who's been who's been going on forbearance for long periods of time, basically 12 months consecutive or 36 months cumulative, and ask for a manual recount if you've got a lot of little time periods and they might add up to more than you think. They're trying to do the recount by software, but the software is not picking up old loan records or maybe some unusual circumstances. So you're going to want to ask the Ombudsman Office for a manual recount if you think the software is not going to do a thorough job of capturing all that time. But basically, after those calculations, they're going to forgive any student loans that have had payments then for 20 and 25 years. So we're going to start to see a lot of forgiveness of federal student loans as the IDR recount starts processing, which is happening now, basically. And so if you do Fresh Start now, if your loans have been in default prior to COVID, you'd want to take advantage of that, right? So if you do a Fresh Start now, you'll be able to have your loans included within that recount. And that's even if you had a commercially held FFEL loan that wasn't eligible for anything, basically. And so Fresh Start will result in the loans being department held, whether they're FFEL or direct. So that's important. Now that will enable you to get credit from default from March 2020 until the month that you exit default, which is an added benefit because usually the time in default doesn't normally count. So how do you enroll in Fresh Start? There's 3 different ways. I personally like visiting the website at myeddebt.ed.gov. I like to do things online. There's a nice record that you've initiated the process. Usually you get confirmation numbers and things like that. That again is myeddebt.ed.gov. You can also contact your individual loan holder. That would be your servicer, of course. And then finally, you can call the Default Resolution Group, DRJ, at 1-800-621-3115. That's again, 1-800-621-3115. Personally, I don't do much in the phone call realm. There's no record that you called. You might have long hold times. Not a big fan, but if you're comfortable with a phone call rather than online, you might want to consider doing that. It's a very fast process. We don't do the actual Fresh Start for our clients. We have been on the phone with someone while they've done it. We've been online with them while they've done it. And basically, it's very, very quick. It takes less than 5 minutes from log on to being finished, probably even less than that. And so what Fresh Start does, and what I really liked, was one of the things is that it removes the borrower from the CAIVRS system. Now, that's basically spelled CAIVRS. And for those of you with home mortgages, if you're seeking a refinance or buying a home, something along those lines, if you have a default on a federal student loan, that will definitely inhibit your ability to qualify for what you want to purchase. And so a fresh start approval for eligible loans basically removes you from that credit alert verification reporting system. That's what CAVR stands for. And that's huge. It also will remove post-default and missed payments. It will restore eligibility for future rehab for borrowers who have rehabilitated a defaulted loan during the payment pause. So let's say that you did a rehab during the COVID. It will reinstate your ability to do a rehab in the future. That's important because for years we used to argue, it's kind of like Monopoly, right? Where you have two get out of jail cards. And when you had a loan default, the only way to cure that default was to do a consolidation. There are times that people had already consolidated and they weren't eligible again to do that. There are circumstances you can and can't do that. I can't really get into that here, but if you needed a consultation, we can certainly cover the differences between all that. And then lastly, you could only rehab two successfully one time. I believe that existed past 2008. And so we had clients who would use both their rehab and their consolidation get out of jail card. And the only way to cure a default would be to maybe catch up payments in an adequate protection plan in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. If someone couldn't do that, then they're basically in default forever, which could have a garnishment forever, Social Security offsets, tax intercepts, and then negative credit reporting. So this Fresh Start initiative is very important for anyone who had a prior default that had limited options in getting out of a default, or even those who had all the options in the world, but you want to save costs. One of the nice things is that it not only protects borrowers from involuntary collection efforts, which will start not right away, but after a 1-year period due to the on-ramp process. That's something that was just passed here in the last couple of weeks. Basically, it's going to eliminate the 18.5% collection costs for borrowers who either sought to consolidate or rehabilitate a loan. So it's going to save costs too. So the Fresh Start program is there designed to eliminate defaults. I would encourage you to use it while you can. Use it early so you get the benefits of the IDR recount. If you wait until next July, when credit reporting is going to start hitting again and collection efforts, you may be too late for much of the relief that's on the table right now. So please take advantage of that now by visiting myeddebt.ed.gov and say that 3 times real fast. I doubt you can, or contact your servicer. So hope you all have a wonderful day. If this has been helpful for you, please subscribe, contact us if you need further information. You can always do so by calling our office 813-258-2808 or contacting us by email at info@ChristieArkovich.com. Have a wonderful day.